Okay, there's the red line.
All right, so the light's on, numbers counting.
All right, then. Freeform glue and foil. Take 70. Oh, ow. That was my finger.
That didn't feel good.
That's a workers' comp claim right there.
Good luck with that. Let me know how it goes for you.
Right.
So the credit for this idea goes to Elizabeth because when I got it, so it's Friday as we film this.
Can't really see it.
No, not really. And we started to play with this idea about rather than putting down a foil adhesive and then applying the foil to it when it dries to that sticky state, we decided to use regular glue and put it on the foil. And I think one of the most interesting things for me that came out of this is how perfect the transfer is. I mean, you can see.
Here, we'll hold it up against that.
Oh.
There you go.
There, it's even in focus. You can see that there are no missing spots, and I tried to scratch the foil off. Not that there's anything wrong with the other methodology where you put the sticky glue down, you let it dry to that sticky state, and then you foil it. But I like this for a couple of reasons, not the least of which is I can do anything I want, and if I don't like it, it's not already in place and I'm not forced to live with it.
Right.
And Elizabeth is going to, you'll see more of this in the video, she's created some freeform flowers where she drew with the bottle of glue, and they're going to be perfect, you're right, for your funky foils.
Yeah, I'm going to add them into my funky florals.
Foils, yeah.
Florals.
Not foils.
Foiled florals. That'll be the next workshop. So I drew mine really thinly, and the only drawback to the very thin lines is that the flower, then when you pull it off, can be a bit fragile, and the very thin lines can break. So you just have to be very careful with them. That's kind of the price you pay for the fine, thin lines. So just practice in how heavy or how fine you apply the glue and what works for you. And then just know if you apply it really fine and thin, you have to be very careful once you pull it off that you don't snap the glue. So you'll get the hang of what works for you.
Well, and the other thing too is there's nothing that says if you have, in fact, on this one, there's a little break right here. You can see that piece right there that's broken.
You can glue it back down together.
Once I use glue to put this down and I put that in place, nobody's going to be the wiser. And anybody who looks that close deserves a slap. So there'll be no inspections.
Right. Yeah, like so if one of the petals falls off your flowers and you're gluing it into your art piece, you just glue it back together and it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So easy peasy and fun to do. It's one of those things where you just kind of let loose and do all kinds of fun shapes. For me, that's curvy organic stuff.
Yeah.
You might want to do cross hatches or things with harder corners, whatever you want to do.
I think it's kind of like gel printing in that it's the reveal, right? Because you're applying the glue to the back of the foil, all of which the color is silver. So when you pull it off and you get to see how the color sticks to the glue, especially in the foils that change colors, that ombre and change colors gradiently.
Like this one?
Yeah, like that one. I think you can't really see it. Like that one changes color. But so it's like the reveal of gel printing. You pull it up and it's like magic when you get to look at it because you didn't really know how it was going to look when you did it.
The angels sing. It's awesome.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's show them how to do it.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Elizabeth had the idea for this process where rather than putting a foil adhesive down on a surface and then foiling it after the fact, she came up with the idea of applying glue to the foil, and then we started to play and realized that there are some other options, and you're actually going to see a second video about this, but that's down the road. So I'm using a variety of foils. These are all actually made by Deco Foil, whether it's the Color Harmony that contains 4 different styles, or it's the Gina K fancy foils, and there's a variety of colors and patterns there, or even they're over here, even the regular old iCraft Deco Foil. So these are bigger sheets that are sold in this tube. Now let's talk about glue because that's an important part of this.
Wait a minute. Before you talk about glue, can you show me the glittery ones on the bottom? These are my favorite.
Yeah.
Look at this. They have, what do you call it? Like holographic?
Yeah.
I just love that. Look at the stars and the holographic with the gold. I mean, what's not to love about that?
Well, it sparkles, it shines, and it's pattern that changes color, of course.
Yeah, I just feel like those are just my favorite. I just wanted to say.
Okay, all right, well good. I'm glad you had your chance to speak out about that.
Yes.
So as we look at this process, I can tell you that we played with some different things. I can promise you that if you follow the directions and do what we did, that you're going to find that these glues will work just fine. I tried gel medium because I thought it might work, and it didn't. I couldn't really get it to peel off the foil, and I tried Elmer's liquid craft bond glue, and I found that it bloomed. The puddle or the shape or whatever spread too much, and so whatever I did ended up not quite as defined as the way I put the glue out. So let's take a quick look at this. You're going to notice when you look at this, in fact, this is where you can see I wrote very cleverly, I wrote gel medium. I couldn't make that work. You can see that my shapes tend to be chunky because I'm more heavy-handed with the glue than Elizabeth. If you look at these, and again, she'll reveal these in the next segment, but see how narrow her glue pieces or her glue strips or her glue is? That's the difference between how she applies glue and how I apply glue. The option is to do either. You may find that you lean more toward this, or you may find that you want chunkier pieces. So it really is up to you, but I like both of these glues because they don't bloom quite so much that you lose the shape of what you put down. So let's take a quick look at,
And what is the difference between those glues?
Both of them are made by Aleene's. This is quick dry tacky glue, and this one actually is meant to stand like this. And this is the original, it's called turbo tacky glue, but it's the regular Aleene's tacky glue that's been around forever. I think this one doesn't spread quite so much, although I could be wrong about that, but we had success with both of these. So it really is up to you which of them that you want, or you can get bold and try a completely different glue. That, of course, is your option.
I don't think anything really dried quick, though, did it?
No, quick dry or not quick dry is a bit of a misnomer. I want to say that your thin application still took 3 or 4 hours to dry to the point where it was ready to come off.
And it was the quick dry that I used.
Yes, it was. So you'd kind of need to keep that in mind. So when you look at these, let's get this. Well, you know what? So let's show you what happens, how easy this is to peel. It comes right off. And unlike when you use foil glue and you put it down and you let it get to that tacky state, sometimes you don't get a perfect transfer. I have yet, if you let this dry properly, I have yet to not get a perfect transfer where the color is just all there. And I also tried scratching this off. I'm using my nail and it didn't come off. So I think depending on if you're trying to create individual motifs that you can use, then I think that this is a really great way to do it. Now you can go a little bit lighter. This is one that I created, and this is another one that I created. And they are lighter weight, but I had to be a little bit more thoughtful about how I applied the glue. This is kind of the norm for me, for whatever reason. I tend to do big chunky pieces like this, but the nice thing is if you're doing big chunky pieces, you really get to see the pattern on the foil. So let's talk about how to actually do this. Now that we've seen
how do we actually do this?
I mean, look at this. That could go on a card, that could go on a journal page. I mean, there's so many ways that you can use this. All right, so let's get this out of the way and let's bring in someplace here. Here it is. So this is so cool. This is from one of the Color Harmonies. It's the gold one. I don't remember the exact name of it, probably the gold one. So I'm going to use the tacky glue. Now I will say, and I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. We have limited supplies here. You can see that this tip is broken. I was using a pair of fine scissors trying to poke a hole. So when you buy this glue, you can see that the top is closed up. I was using scissors to try to poke a hole. If I was at home, I would have used an awl, but I didn't have one handy. So this is broken. It doesn't mean you can't use it. It just means that you need to be a little more thoughtful about how you open the glue than I did. This one, for whatever reason, I'm pretty certain that the tip is already exposed. You don't have to do anything to it. So it's really just, I have glue on my fingers. It's just a matter of shaking the glue down to the nozzle and then starting to apply it. Now, obviously this is coming out reasonably thick, but if I'm careful about how I apply it, I don't have to, I can make it really thick. You can see I'm squeezing the bottle now to get that really thick shape. When you get to an end, I find it's best to come back and do this a little bit, just so that you can break the glue off without it kind of falling to one side. That's it. Now the patience part is what comes into play. You got to put this to one side and ignore it for several hours. Honestly, the best thing to do is to do it at some point during the day and put it to one side and let it dry overnight. And at that point, then you sleep through the worst of the waiting. But you can do so many wonderful things. And like I said, I have a tendency to be far more heavy-handed. Elizabeth, and you'll see that I held this above. When I applied the glue, I'm holding this above the foil. When Elizabeth does this, I noticed this initially yesterday when I was watching her. She has a tendency to put this right on the foil. So you'll practice both of those ways and figure out which one works for you. But when it comes time to take this stuff off, and this looks like it's not dry, but it's ready to come right off, you get these wonderful pieces that you can do all kinds of fabulous things with.
Okay, so I got some more of that fun holographic glittery stuff that I really like. This is the Gina K Fancy Foils Sparkling Silver. So these sheets in the little envelopes are smaller than the Deco Foil ones that come in the tube. So the Deco Foil tube ones are a good...
I think that's 6 by 12.
Yeah, 12 inches. Yeah, 6 by 12 inches. So if you're wanting to make a really long thing, you need to know that the Gina Ks are 6 by 8 sheets, okay?
And the Deco Foils in the new packaging and in the Harmonies are 6 by 6.
Okay, so the color Harmonies with Deco Foils, these are 6 by 6. They're this size, okay? So if you are wanting to make a long strip for some particular use in your artwork, you want to think about the size of the sheet that you purchase. Okay, so I'm just gonna, this is the up side, the front side, the colorful side. So you're going to obviously be putting the glue on the back side. So I just did some freeform drawing, and like Barb said, the way that I applied it that was different from how she applied it is she had her bottle up and squeezed it and let it fall down onto the foil. I put it down like a drawing tool, and I just am just drawing a flower here. So I just kept like a continuous line drawing so I don't have a break in the glue. I don't lift it up. So then I come over with a second row of petals like that, and I end and start in the middle. So it's all one piece. But I have my container right on the foil like a drawing tool. I'm not up from above like Barb was. Okay, so that's the difference. And I'm getting a thinner line that way. Also, this, like Barb said, this tube was already open and it comes to quite the point, and then I have it right on the foil. So I think that makes a difference in the style, and it all depends on what you're going for. So then you just, like Barb said, you just have to sit and let it sit and dry. We found that it was really beneficial to just let it dry overnight and move on to something else. So here's the 12-inch long Deco Foil sheet that comes in the tube. And this one is not only got the glittery effects, but it's got the multicolor, which really appealed to me. So I'm just going to show you how my flowers came. So here's one. Look at that.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
Can you imagine these on a card, how pretty they would be?
Yes, and also in funky florals, mixed media projects.
Geez Louise, I didn't even think about that. What a perfect idea.
I'm 2 steps ahead of you. That's why I'm making flowers. So, but yeah, I mean, I could add these to my funky florals in as drawn elements and then have collaged flowers in front or behind. So here's another one. And this is that thin application because I put the top of the glue container right on the foil. So here's my second one. How cool are those? And you get to draw them yourself, which is kind of cool. You know, you're making your own shapes. And like Barb said, the other benefit to these shapes is that rather than putting the glue right on your project, when you do it separately, you get to slide it around and decide, where do I want to put this? Do I want it this way? Do I want it that way? You're not committed right away like you are to the glue right directly on your surface. So here's a squiggly line, and I made a spiral.
And it's not hard to take these off. It's important to wait until they're dry.
Yeah, and they basically fall right off.
I was gonna say they pop off pretty much on their own.
I mean, you just want to be careful when you get the thin line like I do. You just want to be careful that you don't break the glue. But you just have to be gentle with it. All right, so there's some, and then then this is another one of the Gina K fancy foils with the kind of the glittery effect. And I did flowers on that. So I made myself, and this is what I would do. I mean, I drew the flowers on multiple sheets and then let them all dry overnight. And then I have a series of little flowers. So here's a pink one. And these will glue down with into your mixed media project with the gel medium or whatever adhesive you use. I use gel medium. So, and there's another one that I can mix in and combine with like these and have like a fun.
Ooh, those would be amazing.
Flowers. And I just have more of the same over here. Here's a bigger one that's not overlapping. We can look at that one. And this one's a little thicker, heavier line, but there's one that's just no overlapping petals, which is fun, right? And this is a little bit of a heavier line. So you, like Barb said, you can apply it thick, you can apply it thin. You can make them big, you can make them small. Here's a little baby one. So that was what I did with the Freeform, with the foil. And it was a lot of fun. And you just free drawing with the glue bottle and then let them dry overnight. And I don't know, I just really like this one. I like the gradient.
Yes, the color change is so amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So.
And we're on.
Yes. So, and lastly, the last thing I want to say is that I took all of these and I put them in an envelope.
Oh, right.
With a card stock so the envelope doesn't get bent, and I'm just saving them that way, and I'll just, label them foil flowers or whatever. So now I have options in that envelope full of all my little hand-drawn shapes.
Yeah, and I would suggest you store them flat. I wouldn't turn the envelope on its edge. I would lay them flat like this.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you flex that envelope, you're liable to snap the little thin pieces. Something like this is obviously not an issue because it's so chunky monkey, but for the really beautiful thin things that you do, you want to think and be thoughtful. You want to be thoughtful about how you store them so that they don't get damaged.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
All right then. We'll see you next week.
Bye.